what does your research say about hierarchies?
Yes.
Which is something that so many organizations and companies have actually been trying to eliminate.
First of all, hierarchy is the most common dominant form of social organization that exists in every culture in the world. There's no, in every animal species in the world. Think about ants or the bees with the queen bee and the worker bees and everyone working together. And the reason why is that hierarchy solves lots of problems for organizations. The first one is, how do we cooperate with each other? How do we coordinate our behavior? I want to give you an example that we have in the book that I think it really captures this really well, is would you rather play a game with your boss or your best friend? Now everyone would say, I'd rather play with my best friend, they're my best friend, right? But let me tell you about this little game that we had people, some researchers in the Netherlands had people play, is there's two options. Option A gives me 8 points and gives you 4 points. Option B gives you 8 points and me 4 points. So option A is better for me, option B is better for you. Now, if we both choose the same option, we get the outcome. If we choose different options, we get nothing. Now, if you play with your boss, it's really simple. I defer to my boss. I pick option B. My boss deserves more points than I do. Your boss says, I deserve more points too. They pick option B. Now imagine playing this with your best friend. Well, maybe I decide to be generous, but they're generous. We pick different options. We get nothing. Or maybe I say, you know what, they're going to be generous to me, so I'll be selfish. But maybe they're thinking the same thing. And then now we're in the situation where hierarchy creates patterns of deference that make coordination really successful. Even here, right, you're the interviewer, you have an assistant who helps, right? You direct them about what to do here in this situation. It makes things smooth and coordinated. So when Google tried to eliminate managers, disaster. Zappos is trying to do this now. They had a 2% attrition rate 2 years ago. Now it's something up to 14%.
Really?
People are just not happy. It provides order, it provides control, and it provides coordination. Now, there's a flip side, which is that hierarchy can also kill. Which is, and the reason why this happens, a classic example is surgery. When we defer too much to the hierarchy and we see a doctor make a mistake or skip a step, let's say in the operation procedure, and we don't speak up as a nurse or someone with less power, that's a disaster. So what we need to do, and in the book every chapter ends with a section called Finding the Right Balance, we need to make hierarchy win without killing. How do we do that? It's a term I used earlier in this interview, psychological safety. If we can have the benefits of hierarchy that helps with coordination, cooperation, with opportunities for less powerful to express themselves, that's how we can make hierarchy win without killing and get the best outcomes in life.
Can that actually happen?
Yes, it happens. So I'll give you 3 examples where you can start to see that happening. One is sometimes we give the less powerful a little bit of power, in a sense. So Johns Hopkins noticed that doctors often skipped steps in the checklist during surgery. This was disastrous because it could lead to infection. And if infection hits the main line, you're toast. So what they decided to do is, what if we put the nurses in charge of the checklist? Give them some authority over that. That's more likely to give that possibility. Here's another example. A friend of mine, Laura Nordgren at the Kellogg School of Management, has created a new app called the Candor app. And what he does is, it's an app that allows people to express ideas anonymously during a group interaction. So going back to the IDEO example, everyone puts their things on this and they all pop up on the board, and I don't know who said what, so it's just the ideas went out. So
you don't feel like there will be a consequence.
Exactly, right?
to expressing yourself.
So that's one way of creating psychological safety. I'll give you just one other great example of this, which Sheryl Sandberg has talked about in the New York Times, which is there was a TV show called The Shield. And the producer noticed that a couple of the women who were a little bit younger didn't really speak up in pitch meetings. And so he said, I'm going to be a good leader. I'm going to mentor them. I'm going to develop them. I'm going to tell them, hey, why don't you speak up? And they laughed in his face. And he's like, what? He's like, watch what happens when you do. And he noticed when they did speak up, they got interrupted really quickly.
Right.
So he created a no interruption rule. And it turned out that interruption rule not only helped these women who have a little bit less power in the group speak up more successfully, it actually helped everyone be more successful. And they came up with better ideas and better stories because of this rule. So we can use anonymous opinion gathering. We can use some rules that we put in place. All of these things, or give the less power a little bit more authority like nurses, all these things help hierarchy win without killing because it creates psychological safety.